Howdy, everybody. So, are you shopping for a newer used truck, and are you waiting for interest rates to come down? you know, the Fed uh, is stubbornly keeping interest rates high, and there's some indication that members of the Federal Reserve Board are going to break ranks and recommend lower interest rates in July. But many economists think that interest rates may not come down until September. And you're wondering, is it worthwhile to wait? Would you be better off waiting for lower interest rates? Well, I included a link in the description for a payment calculator, and you can play around with the numbers a little bit, but a 1% change in interest rate, which is probably all you're going to get in July or in September, is only going to save you about $1,000 over the life of the loan. So $1,000 is not lunch money, but in the big picture of things, it's a drop in the bucket. It's not going to make or break your business model. $1,000. If you're generating gross revenue of $700 per day, $1,000 is not going to affect your decision. So what you may want to consider instead of interest rates is how much the truck costs. How the sale price of the truck. If the truck prices come down $5,000, that's kind of like a 5% reduction in the price. Now that gets a little more interesting. That may cause you to delay purchasing a truck for a month or two, but I wouldn't wait 6 months because the cost benefit analysis doesn't pan out. It's like you're not going to save a lot uh, gross revenue wise waiting 6 months to save $5,000. That's too long of a time frame. Now, if you're going to wait a month or two to save $5,000, you may want to consider that. But wait 6 months to save $5,000, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Because again, your gross revenue is going to be $700 a day. So you could easily gross $15,000 to $20,000 for the month. And trying to save $5,000 by putting off a purchasing decision, you know, a month, you could wait a month, you could wait 2 months. I wouldn't wait much longer than that. I mean, what's the point? You're not going to save this huge amount of money by putting off that purchasing decision. Now, if truck prices came down 10,000 or 20,000, then yeah, it'd be worthwhile to wait. But no one can tell you that. No one has that crystal ball. No one can say, hey, why don't you wait 6 months? You'll save $20,000 on that truck. That's not guaranteed to happen. It might happen. It might not. You know, uh, Prices may go up too. You always think prices are going to come down, but prices could go up. so, so it's like, well, it's a little bit of a gamble. It is. Your timing could be good. Your timing could be off. It's nothing that you can really zero in on and target. It's like, all right, I want to buy my truck on October 15th. That would be the perfect time to buy it. No one can tell you that. uh, you wait till October and the prices may have gone up. Interest rates may have come down, but then the price of the truck went up. So did you gain anything? That's not really. And the other thing is that these trucks aren't getting any younger. As they're sitting, they are getting older, and naturally over time their value does come down. Their depreciation is still in play. So as the truck gets older, it becomes more depreciated, and then the value of the truck comes down. You could have a truck today that's selling for $100,000 sitting, and then 6 months from now, it's only worth 90,000 because of depreciation. Depreciation value of that truck came down. And it's always supply and demand. You got to keep that in mind. The demand could go up. Right now it seems like the freight market is down and prices are holding steady, but that could change. And you think about, should I buy or should I wait? And it's like, well, even if interest rates do come down, they're only going to come down by 1%. So that's $1,000 difference in the life of that loan. Not statistically significant. Uh, do you wait and see the truck prices come down 5 grand? They might. Given enough time, they might come down. But then again, you know, why wait? If your gross revenue is $700 per day, you're not going to save a lot by waiting to purchase that truck, unless the economy takes a nosedive, in which case everything's going to go on sale. But short of something disastrous happening where the economy is going to tank, waiting is not going to be a good strategy. So waiting for interest rates, not a good strategy. Waiting for truck prices to come down, probably not a good strategy either. So these are all things that I think about when I'm getting ready to purchase my next truck. It's like, well, how much longer you want to wait? It's like, well, not too much longer. Because initially you have that sticker shock, the new truck prices. It's the truck prices for the 2022s versus the 2021s, but it's if you wait much longer, you're going to be looking at getting into 2023 instead of a 2022. In that case, truck prices are still going to be high. So I don't think you can necessarily time this. It's like trying to time the stock market. Everybody wants to buy low and sell high, but you can never really time the stock market. And the saying for investors is that you don't want to you time the stock market. It's how much time you're in the stock market. So that may be relevant to when you purchase a truck. It's not matter when you purchase your truck. It's just do you have a truck that you're running and you're generating revenue? You can make up $5,000 difference very easily. I mean, within a matter of a few months. $1,000 is statistically insignificant for interest rate change. So there may not be any incentive there for you to wait much longer. You waited a month, you waited 2 months, truck prices haven't changed, interest rates haven't changed. Probably not worth waiting much longer than that. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Go watching. We'll see you on the internet.